So apparently there's a 7-minute audio track that's supposed to make you smarter. And I know, that sounds like the most obvious scam you've ever heard in your life. But here's what's weird. The science behind it is actually real. So let me tell you what this thing actually is, because I think you've probably seen it advertised AI, and I want to break it down in a way that's actually honest. No BS. It's called the Genius Wave. It's a digital audio track, 7 minutes long. And the claim is that listening to it daily will rewire your brain, boost your creativity, sharpen your focus, maybe even help you manifest money. Yes, manifest money. I'm not making that up. Now here's where it gets interesting, because there are two very separate conversations happening at the same time. Conversation 1. Is this specific product legitimate? Conversation 2. Is the science it's based on legitimate? And the answers to those two questions are completely different. So I did a deep dive, looked at the peer-reviewed research, read the skeptic takedowns, checked the refund complaints. And I want to give you the full picture, because the truth here is actually more interesting than total scam, or it changed my life. Let's start with the science, because that's where this actually gets wild. Okay, pop quiz. Right now, what state is your brain in? You're watching YouTube. You're probably slightly distracted. Maybe you've got a coffee. Your brain right now is almost certainly in what neuroscientists call beta AI, that's 14 to 30 hertz. High alert, reactive, analytical. Beta is great for deadlines. It's terrible for creativity. But here's what's cool. Your brain runs at different speeds, depending on what you're doing. And researchers have been mapping these for decades. When you're in a deep meditation, or in that weird half-asleep, half-awake state at like 7 a.m. when your best ideas randomly hit. That's theta, around 4 to 8 hertz. And theta is linked to memory, creativity, emotional processing, and insight. Here's the thing that kind of blew my mind when I found this out. Studies actually show this. A 2019 meta-analysis reviewed 22 studies and found a statistically significant medium effect size for binaural beats on cognition, anxiety, and pain perception. That's published science, not some guy in a trench coat selling supplements. And in 2025, a large study with 80 participants confirmed that brain rhythms do reliably entrain to beat frequencies, meaning you can actually nudge your brain toward theta using audio. So, does that mean the Genius Wave works? I'm going to make you wait on that one, because first I need to tell you about the guy who supposedly created it. So, the Genius Wave was apparently created by a neuroscientist named Dr. James Rivers. He's described as having over 34 years of experience, connections to MIT and Stanford, even NASA. Okay, so here's the honest breakdown. No academic papers, swear by binaural no university beats. Profile, and there are legitimate researchers who've looked at this and gone, no LinkedIn, hold on, not so fast. No verified record of his existence from anywhere outside of the product's own marketing by actual academics. And I'm not the only one who noticed. The claimed mood-altering effects and binaural watchdogs may be no stronger than Dr. James Rivers appears to be a pseudonym. In other words, I am made-up name attached to a very real marketing funnel. Just putting on ambient audio. The sales page is long, works just as well. Like, very long. And there's a classic high-pressure copywriting scientific reports. Door AI emotional story. Home use urgent countdown timers. Worsened cognitive this information is being standardized tasks. Energy. There are also complaints on Trustpilot from people who had trouble getting refunds. Frequencies might never heard back from customer support rhythms, or got hit with upsells they didn't expect. Now here's the counterpoint. And this is the nuance that most scam or not videos miss entirely. You can't get more rigorous than that. The fake doctor doesn't automatically make the science fake. Beats, brainwave entrainment is sympathetic activation. The research on theta states is withdrawal compared to a placebo. Those studies existed long before this product was created, the nervous system and they'll exist long after. More with the real beats. The question is fake ones. Whether this specific audio file actually does what it claims. Here's what I actually think is going on. And I don't think you're going to find this take anywhere else. Lean in. Lower voice slightly. The science of theta entrainment is probably real, but modest. It's not going to turn you into Einstein. It's probably closer to a structured relaxation technique than a cognitive superpower. And that still has real value. The product, though? That's where the red flags pile up. unverifiable creator, inflated marketing claims, manifest wealth language, classic ClickBank affiliate funnel with no independent clinical trials. PI, pattern interrupt number 4. Cut 2, B-roll of someone meditating, then cut back to you. Here's something no one really talks about in these conversations. The reason stuff like the Genius Wave exists and sells, we're talking tens of thousands of copies, is because there's a real, legitimate need that it's trying to fill. A huge number of people feel mentally foggy, creatively blocked, stressed out, and desperately want a simple solution. 7 minutes a day, that's achievable. That's a genuine selling point for people who can't commit to a 45-minute meditation practice. And honestly, even the placebo effect is a real effect. If someone listens to a calming audio track every morning, builds a quiet morning ritual around it, and reports feeling more focused, something real happened. The brain doesn't care why it relaxed, it just relaxed. Beat. But there's a difference between "this helped me relax" and "this is a neuroscience breakthrough backed by MIT research." And the marketing for the Genius Wave is firmly in the second category, while the actual product is probably in the first. That gap is where the scam label comes from. Not necessarily the audio itself, but the claims wrapped around it. PI, pattern interrupt number 5. Cut 2. You at a whiteboard or pointing to text on screen? Make it visual. On screen? Scam? On one side, breakthrough on the other. All right, let's call it. Here's my actual verdict. And I'm going to be specific because I hate vague conclusions. The underlying science, legitimate. Theta brainwave entrainment has decades of peer-reviewed research behind it. Brain entrainment is a real phenomenon. Binaural beats can genuinely affect your nervous system. That's not in dispute. The specific product? Overhyped. The creator is unverifiable. The clinical evidence for this exact audio file doesn't exist. The manifest money claims are not supported by neuroscience. The marketing tactics are designed to bypass your critical thinking, not inform it. The refund situation, mixed. Some people got refunds fine through ClickBank. Others had a miserable time. It's not a clean picture. My actual recommendation: if you're curious about theta entrainment, which you genuinely should be, you do not need to spend $39 on this. There are free binaural beat tracks on YouTube with millions of listens. There are free meditation apps. The technology is not locked behind the Genius Wave. But if you've already bought it and you're using it as a 7-minute morning wind-down ritual and you feel better, great. Keep doing it. Just don't expect it to make it. PI, final pattern. Interrupt. Shift to slightly bigger picture. Cut to you walking or changing background. Here's what I keep coming back to with stuff like this. We live in an era where there's real neuroscience being done. Actual breakthroughs in how we understand the brain, creativity, flow states, neuroplasticity. This stuff is genuinely fascinating. And then there's a whole industry that puts on a lab coat, slaps MIT backed in a headline, and sells you a $39 audio file with a fake doctor's name on it. The tragedy isn't that the product is bad. The tragedy is that it poaches from legitimate science, borrows its credibility, and in doing so, makes people more skeptical of the real research. Beat. If the idea of theta waves and brain entrainment genuinely interests you, and it should, there are real books, real researchers, and real free resources that will actually take you deeper. That's the rabbit hole worth going down. Look directly at camera. If this video helped you figure out what's actually going on here, hit subscribe because I do this every week. Real breakdowns, no fluff. And drop a comment. Would you try it? Or have you already? I genuinely want to know.